What's up, you guys? So Ironman Raceway was this past Saturday. I did the 450 class only recently, just a couple days ago, actually. So now this is the time for the 250 class. Before I get to that, remember, guys, subscribe if you think that I'm worth listening to. And I do have one game up scheduled for after this is done. So with that being said, subscribe. Let's get into this. There's my banner. Haiden Deegan sweeps again. Jalek Swoll done for 25. Cole Davies, Ty Masterpool return. And that's for the next round at Unadilla. I'm going to get to that last, Davies and Masterpool. But I'm going to get this out of the way. Haiden Deegan sweeping again. Who didn't think that was going to happen? Especially after Deegan was named to Team USA along with Chase Sexton and I believe Eli Tomac as well. And that's a strong team. But despite what happened to Chase Sexton, there might be a bit of a question mark there, especially after just leaving his KTM out there. And by the way, you leave your bike littered on the track when you're so close to the mechanics area, that is a black mark that is going to stay with you for quite a while, let me tell you. And I won't go into any details there. But it seems to me like Sexton was done with outdoors, especially after crashing out of the first race. But it was clear he needed a break. I agree with those who say that. And I think it's time that we either cut down the series or at least move the playoffs to the fall. And I've said that how many times? I've been really, really vocal about this for the reasoning of that these guys need a break. Because after motocross was done back in the day, that was it. It was time for rest and relaxation. And the only races that us bench racers cared about were the Donations and the U.S. Open, which later became the Monster Cup. So anyway, as far as the 250 class goes, not much to talk about in terms of the win. Haiden Deegan coming from behind to win both races is solid proof that that guy is ready for the 450 when he comes up to the 450 in the 26 motocross season. And he's doing exactly the same thing that Jet Lawrence did. And I call that a great move because you jump up too early and you realize you're not in shape, sooner or later it's going to bite you. And that almost bit Ricky Carmichael when you think about it. Because after he swept the 125 East in 1998, Carmichael jumped up to the 250s for Supercross 1999. Some people thought he wasn't ready. He clearly wasn't ready. And I was one of those people who really felt that Ricky should have defended his 125 East title because he clearly was not ready. I mean, yeah, Ricky ran up front at times, but all those crashes that he went through is solid proof that Ricky was not in shape and was not ready. For Deegan to take the time to perfect his skill, good on him. He's doing exactly what Jeremy McGrath did. But I wouldn't be opposed to Deegan riding the 450 class on the opposite coast just so he can kind of test the waters, really. I mean, yeah, you do take that risk of possible injury and foregoing the rest of your season. But then again, either way, 2026 Supercross will be Deegan's last season in the 250s, and we'll see how it goes. And is he going to do what Jet Lawrence did outdoors and sweep the series? I don't think so, because I think he has a learning curve. I mean, just look at James Stewart. The guy was so dominant in 125s, and then when he jumped up to the premier class, he got his lunch handed to him and then some, despite the fact that he did win 3 Supercrosses in 2005, but missed most of the outdoors because of crashes and injuries. So 2006 was basically his rookie season. And while Stewart ran up front and won a lot of races, he wasn't immune to rookie mistakes in 05 and 06. Is Deegan going to be immune to rookie mistakes? No. He's not going to escape them. So he will be immune to mistakes, I should say. A little correction on my part. But still, I don't doubt that Deegan is going to win any races, let alone some motos. But he's going to have a learning curve for sure. And something tells me that the way that Jet Lawrence went through in Supercross this year is proof that that learning curve is going to come back to get him. Because, you look at Ryan Dungey in 2010 when he won both the Supercross and Motocross titles. I was one of those people who felt that Dungey was not given good competition. He didn't have to deal with the perennial frontrunners like James Stewart and Chad Reed. But in 2011, he dealt with them for sure. And as a result, he only won one race in Supercross, but he did vie for the title. But that's proof, in my view, that somewhere down the line, you're going to pay a price because, and when it comes to you a little too easy, too quick, somewhere down the line, you will have to pay a price. Ergo, Dungey was spoiled in 2010. And I felt that Jet Lawrence was a little spoiled in 24 Supercross, and Motocross was proof. He had to call it a season early because of a thumb injury. So I think that Deegan is taking the right route and going in 250 and Supercross. I won't mind if he tests the waters on the 450 on the opposite coast, but he is doing the very much preferred thing. No question about it. Now, for other guys, Joe Shimoda, second overall. Now, I have to say that Joe Shimoda, second overall, is kind of where I had him put coming into Ironman. Do I think Shimoda's going to win Unadilla? I don't know. Maybe not. I think Deegan is going to win out the rest of the season. But the guy who put in a good result, Tom Vialle, this guy has really had his lunch handed to him and then some this outdoor season. Because next to Seth Hammaker, I really thought Tom Vialle was going to do really well outdoors. And it looked that way too. But unfortunately, it's just the way it goes. It's just how it goes sometimes. And unfortunately, Vialle has not put in some great results, let alone win a moto. And one wonders if he's going to still be in the States in 2026. Because for someone like Tom Vialle to win 2 Supercross titles and no outdoor titles, I don't think that should even matter. Because the team should really look at him. And if they don't, all they're going to do is just disappoint him and stunt his growth on the 450. Because I thought Vialle was going to move up this year because he won the title in 24. And I thought he was going to jump up after this year, I should say. Not this year. But still, for Tom Vialle, I really hope that some team looks at him, whether it be Gas or maybe Husqvarna. Because you think about this, Tom Vialle's situation is certainly nothing like Christophe Pourcel's. Because when Pourcel jumped up to the 450, no team would sign him because he demanded so much money. Tom Vialle, I don't think, is demanding much money. Instead of going with the team that had the biggest budget. And the fact that no team is looking at Vialle because of how Supercross went for him, even though he won the title, everyone's looking at RJ Hampshire and Seth Hammaker taking themselves out of Salt Lake City. And Vialle went on for the title. And Seth Hammaker being the fastest qualifier at Ironman, I was looking for much better results than what he put in because the way that he rode, it looked like another version of Kevin Windham, who was fastest in practice, but nowhere near the front in the actual racing. And that's a disappointment, too, because although I'm still picking Seth Hammaker as a Supercross champ in the 250s, regardless of what region he runs, unless Haiden Deegan is in that region, I still think Seth Hammaker is coming into his own, even though the results don't show it. I like to see Hammaker battle for more wins. And I thought he was going to win one or two this summer, but it just hasn't worked out. And I don't know if Seth Hammaker's been eating the same food as some of his teammates, but I don't know. It just kind of boggles my mind that someone like Hammaker can do good in practice and not do good in the races and put in the kind of results that he did. And Garrett Marchbank's 4th overall, that's the kind of results that I'm sure Seth Hammaker is looking for. Because after how Supercross went for him, I was thinking he was coming into his own. And motocross would be no different. But unfortunately, sometimes luck doesn't agree with you. Sometimes your machine lets you down. Or maybe it's just happenstance in a sense. But still, I'll be looking for big things from Hammaker in either the playoffs or next year in Supercross in the 250s. And I think Hammaker is going to win a title sooner or later. If not next year, then maybe 2027. So another thing on my banner, Jalek Swoll done for 2025. That's a bummer, but something that nobody really thought wasn't going to happen. Because when you look at how Washougal went for Jalek, that's only the tip of the iceberg on how his season, not only his season, but how his 2025 year has gone in general. He missed all of Supercross with that Achilles injury. And then coming back, it looked like his results were starting to show. And then Washougal came around and his season's officially down the toilet. So hopefully Swoll will come back healthy. Is he going to come back for playoffs? I kind of doubt it. He hasn't really scored enough points. At least I don't think so anyway. But, we'll see what happens. And going back or actually not going back, but also Cole Davies and Ty Masterpool returning. Cole Davies coming back, that's great news. And something tells me that from this point forward, he ain't going to roll another jump and slow to a crawl ever again on a motocross or a supercross track, especially after what happened at Salt Lake City. And that's one of the biggest no-nos that you can make on a track. And like I said before, that's like a car pulling onto the road and going 20 miles an hour when the speed limit is 40. That's a hazard for sure. And Ty Masterpool returning, I'm glad to see him back. I sure hope that he gets another chance with Pro Circuit because his year started a lot sooner than expected, and then he gets hurt. And I don't think Masterpool has been given a fair shot in 2025 in general. And the guy can put in great results anytime, any place, anywhere. But it just shocks me at how unlucky that someone like Ty Masterpool can be. Just like with Hammaker. And what kind of baffles me is the fact that Cameron McAdoo is still signed through next year, and Ty Masterpool's the one on the chopping block. And I think it should be the other way around, theoretically anyway, because McAdoo hasn't performed, and of course Ty Masterpool hasn't performed. But still, when you consider how last year went for Masterpool and McAdoo was pretty much out all of last season after what happened at Detroit and then that injury again. One wonders how some people end up in this boat, especially considering that one guy on the team has put in less results than you have. And that's Cameron McAdoo I'm talking about, who's put in less results. Ty Masterpool, on the other hand, his results have kind of come and gone, have been kind of hot and cold, really, I should say. But still, everyone deserves a second chance, and I don't think Ty Masterpool has been given a fair second chance. I'm a firm believer of second chances, especially when there are circumstances that are out of your control. I mean, you talk about someone who's injury prone. Look at Shea Bentley. The guy was talented and had an outstanding amateur record, but all because of injuries, his results was so far back. And then it was at the point where his time on a top support ride was limited, and he ended up winning the 125 West in 2000 after he got moved to the West following an injury to defending champ Nathan Ramsey. And Ramsey was the one who had the bad year in 2000, missing most of the races and, and being injury prone. And of course, Shea Bentley, after winning the West title, unfortunately, a stomach issue forced him to bow out of the shootout in Vegas, and he didn't even join for the outdoor season. And I thought that was incredibly unlucky, for sure. And that's where I'll leave it. Of course, I could go into detail about Matt Walker, but I feel like I've already made my point. So that's where I'll leave it. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And remember, subscribe. I'll see you all after Unadilla is done on Saturday. So thanks, guys. Subscribe. I'll see you all again.